Hello everybody, welcome back to Fans React. This is episode 5, believe it or not, of FanCast. And today we've got Jacob Kirkbride on the show. Thank you very much for coming on, Jacob.
How we doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, good. I really appreciate you coming on, mate. I know it's terrible weather out there, but there's probably other things you'd be doing.
Yeah.
I'd like to get on straight away the question. The first question is, you're obviously a regular on SAFC Fan TV. You're on there every week, sometimes twice a week now. What made you get involved with that?
It was a difficult one because when we first started, I was smack bang in the middle of my final assignments for my master's degree at Sunderland University. I did my actual degree, media and journalism, at Northumbria in Newcastle. So I was able to stay up in the northeast for another year, attend all the games, which was good. But in that period, I think I was just like sick of doing the same work like every single day, like leading up to like my final coursework. So I remember, I think it was Wee Philly put a video up saying we need volunteers for this new channel, which was SAFC Fan TV. And I looked at it at first and I thought, is it really for me? Will I have time to like fully commit to it? But then I thought, I'm going to be moving home in a month. Then it will be a shame, obviously, that I won't be able to interview fans like Sean does week in, week out. Me not living up there anymore, but I thought I'll try my best to produce as much content when I move back as possible. So first game of the season, Oxford, a very nervous man, interviewing fans that day. But I think I just slowly started to grow into it. And the more I did, I just really enjoyed it even more. Like one of my main skills is just connecting with like new people, meeting new people all the time. It's just something I get a buzz out of doing. I know a lot of my mates don't really feel the same way. Like they like to be in a close knit friendship group, but I just make the most out of just meeting new people. I just love doing it. I love doing it on match days as well. And it's a shame that we're not getting that at the moment. And here we are now. Yeah. Over a year, over 4,000 subscribers. So I'm not complaining. It's funny because there's people who I haven't been in touch with for years. And I remember receiving a few messages, even like 2 months after I started, saying, oh my God, this is absolutely amazing. Like you suit that job so well. Like it's just you down to a T. It's fantastic to see you doing that, which is brilliant, to be honest. It was quite emotional, I'm not gonna lie, but it hasn't really sunk in, to be honest, like how much the channel's growing over this past year. I think it's just onwards and upwards, and hopefully we can get even better.
Yeah, definitely. Something you'd like to do sort of for a mainstream TV company, or are you...
Well, to TV is something I never really. My main background before I joined was actually in radio and doing like interviews for like sports shows on radios and on radio stations, which was I was volunteering for a radio station back in Sunderland called Spark FM, which is one of the biggest student radio stations in the country at the moment. So obviously, I guess without that experience, I wouldn't be where I am today. I still thank them a lot for what they taught me in my time there, and obviously the skills I learned in my degree as well, which has contributed massively to where I am today and how well I'm doing today.
Yeah, definitely. How, if you don't mind asking, how have you been coping with all these restrictions and lockdowns since like March time?
I'll be honest, not great, mate. To it, like that period from March to July when everything was more or less closed, like there was no pubs open, you couldn't really see anyone unless you were doing the social distancing outside. You couldn't go into anyone's house. It really hit me big time. I struggled massively through my mental health. It sort of like played mind games on me. It started like dwelling bad thoughts, and it wasn't a nice place to be. But I think now, because we're in the midst of sort of this second wave, that cases are slowly starting to increase, I'm sort of prepared more for it now. Obviously, I will admit I did take counselling a couple of weeks ago because my mental health wasn't great over the summer, but I needed that to get me on the right track, to just not be worried about the future, just take one step at a time, and rewards will come.
Yeah, definitely. It's really good that you recognised it and you've done something about it as well. And I suppose there's a little bit of relief knowing that you're not the only one going through it as well. So
yeah,
Yeah, well done, mate. Also, you just mentioned recently that you live down south now. We both live down south. We're not
Yeah,
that
man.
far from each other. Do you think living down south has any advantages or disadvantages being a Sunderland fan?
There's pros and cons. I must say. Growing up in school, it was very hard. I'm not gonna lie. When I made my decision, you have to take a bit of flack, you have to take a bit of banter, but it's all part of in the growing up process. But no, I wouldn't swap it for the world. You know, it runs through my family. So yeah, best decision I've made supporting this great club, and I've no regrets at all.
Excellent. I know we don't get to play the likes of Newcastle anymore, but it is handy. I think when we did play Newcastle, if we were to get promoted and they were to get relegated, we met the next season. And we got beat. We would have a big sort of pro by being down here and not have to take all the stick, I suppose.
Mm.
Yeah, how do you think Sunderland's going? Well, obviously they played Rochdale, and that was a 2-2 draw. Specifically about that game, what do you think went right or wrong with it? How do you feel it went?
It's concerning. I'm not gonna, considering that we looked a very solid defensive unit at the beginning of the season. I know we had a bit of injuries the last two games, which have contributed to why I think we've been chipping in goals. But I think on the road this season, we are missing that away support. Like even Giles, he touched it when you spoke to him. That massive away fan base that we have, like surging on the team in dark times, it's going to be a big miss this season. But overall, I think we're playing with too much fear. I think when we do have a few injuries to key players in the side, we just look so low on confidence in terms of our defending and keeping clean sheets. And right now, the quality is lacking to like properly finish off teams, which is concerning. I think because there was a few performances on Tuesday night where from a few players where they have got the potential, but it just wasn't going right for them. Particularly was it Demba Hume, who's improved massively from the start. He dropped off a bit on Tuesday night, but you're always going to have one of those days, and I have every faith that a player like Demba will turn it around. But there was more experienced players in that team who should have been doing their job a lot better. From a midfield perspective, we were very poor as well, like just lacking that final ball, that last bit in the final third, which there's not really much quality. I know you can say it's for the league we're in, but at the same time, you've got to adapt to that, and you've got to try and at least create a lot more chances with a lot more precision and obviously cutting edge. Because right now, if we don't score more than 2 goals in a game, because I thought us scoring 2 goals in the game would be enough, but we still ended up drawing the game 2-2, which is concerning. But hopefully we can bounce back with a positive result against Gillingham at the weekend.
Yeah, definitely. That new signing Sanderson start against Rochdale as well. I personally thought he had a decent game. Some of the fans who reacted, members, weren't that impressed with him. How do you feel it went? I know Michael Bowers on the Speak SAFC podcast, he gave man of the match. So obviously some people seeing different things in them. What did you think of him on Saturday?
He started the game very well. Looked calm and composed on the ball. Dealt with the pressure very well. But I think as the game dragged on, his fitness sort of was questionable. I don't know if you remember, I think he picked up a bit of a knock midway through the game and he wasn't quite the same after that. But with players like Dion Sanderson, I think you're not going to see them players like Dion, you're not going to see them at their best unless you play them consistently. But will Parkinson do that? I'm not so sure, which is a shame. But he is a talented player. I have every faith he'll have a brilliant career. Whether that will be with us, it's still early days. But positive things I would say from his performance. Shame that there was some negative points second half, but you're always going to get that. It's not going to be perfect when you're a young player on your debut. So hopefully Phil Parkinson can work with him and improve on his game.
Yeah. How do you see Sunderland? Well, we've played 8 games now. How do you see Sunderland's season so far? In particular, regarding Phil Parkinson's job.
Well, it was always going to be a difficult job for him in the summer. in terms of bringing players in with like the ownership situation up in the air, the salary cap in place, but he was not backed by the owner at all. Let's face it, Stuart Donald's made it clear, he doesn't want anything to do with the club now. He's gone. He's trying his best to sell, and it was always going to affect the team in terms of recruitment. But the first month, I thought he did very well with the points we picked up. But I think with Phil Parkinson, I think it just takes a good team to like tactically figure us out, and then all of a sudden we're back to square one again, where the main thing he did wrong last season, I don't know, we played Portsmouth in February. We got beat 2-0. We went on that brilliant unbeaten run, which started with that 2-1 away win at Doncaster, and we were unbeaten until February. And that day, Portsmouth sussed us out completely because they have the players and the quality of players to suss out teams tactically in this league. But the mistake he made was he still stuck with that 3-4-3 formation. Not 3-4-3. Was it 3-4-3? I think it was a 3-4-3, wasn't it? With Gooch, Wyke, Maguire, a back three, and then wing backs and Hume and 09 with Power and Dobson in the middle. But yeah, I think now what Parkinson has to do differently, I think he has to change things up a bit, like try something new, but he has to improve on that quality in the final third. I know we haven't really got players that can do that on a consistent basis, but he has to find a winning strategy in order to get the best out of those players at difficult times in the game. And one thing I will say, Luke 09, he was a huge miss in that game on Tuesday night because his energy levels can really galvanise the team going into the final few stages. And even if he's not playing the best, it's his energy levels he has just contribute massively. And players like him are going to be key this season. We need to have players like him fit, but also it's good to see Charlie Wyke has started to score some goals recently, but we do need decent service into him, and we do need the likes of Lyndon Gooch and Chris Maguire to turn up against teams who will be challenging with us at the top of the table, like your Portsmouth, your Ipswich, and was it Peterborough as well?
Yeah. So if I was to say your Parkinson in or Parkinson out, would you be able to pick one of them?
I'm on the fence, I must admit. Listen, because we can't really. I know we can judge him a little bit to wait for the way how last season ended, but at the same time, I think last season in general for clubs in League One and Two, it's a complete write-off because I think with our situation, we still had 8 games left to play. Yeah. And absolutely anything could have happened in those final 8 games. So we'll never know. I think Parkinson will be purely judged if he gets us out of this league or not. If he does win promotion with us this season, then it's a massive achievement. Do I see Phil Parkinson, the man in the dugout for long term? Probably not. But I think for the division we're in now, and with the squad of players we have, you have to remember, he managed to get an average Bolton Wanderers side promoted, and Bolton Wanderers at the time had a lot of ownership problems, couldn't really bring in the players they wanted to, but he managed to get the best out of players that were currently in that dressing room, and I hope he can apply the same strategy working with the players we've got in that dressing room at the moment.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it seems like a lifetime ago that we started talking about takeovers, Sunderland potential takeovers. Most people just fed up with it now, I think. There was recently an article, I think, in the Sunderland Echo suggesting there's still talks ongoing, it's getting close, all that sort of stuff. How do you see it happening? Do you think it would be a good time to have a takeover?
I think we need to right now potentially put it aside. I know that might be a debatable decision because I don't know. I think the news today is that potentially Burnley in the Premier League might be having a £200 million takeover, which for a club like them is fantastic. But I think with the league we're in and like the consistent run of games where you just need to focus on improving the players you have in the team, I think we can't afford to really think about anything else. I don't think we'll see any progression in the ownership department until next summer. I think it all depends on what division we're going to be in next season.
Yeah. Say, for example, you were a multi-billionaire, and you had the chance to buy some, and you bought it at the end of the season. What changes would you make? What would you do to try and get us up to that next level?
First of all, I think we need to invest so much better in our youth academy. I think it's been struggling for years. I don't know whether that's with the recruitment team we've had in place that's got it wrong so many times, or how we treat these players and how we trust them to really make an impact on the first team. I think what I notice is particularly the further down south you go, like even in clubs in London, I think they just put so much faith in youth. I know they have the financial structure in place to do that, but at the same time, it's all about giving these players a chance and really believing in these players that they can make a difference. And that is something I would do with particularly like the scouting system and like the process of how you would scout a player, bring it through, and then potentially integrate that into the first team, giving them a chance. That is something that I would look at straight away, because for many years now, I just feel we're not producing enough quality players, and never have done in such a long period of time to really play the best that they can at top flight level. And something has to change. Like, in order to do that, we have to invest right down from the very bottom in terms of how we look at players, where to look. I think we need to look at players more internationally rather than just in this country, because I feel there are like a lot of talent. There is a lot of talent abroad from young players, and we haven't brought enough of that to some. I know people come up with excuses saying that they don't want to move up to the northeast; they'd rather be in London. But I remember Lyndon Gooch, he did an interview once saying West Ham were tracking him for ages, but I think he was brought to Sunderland at an early age. He trained a lot of the Academy of Light, and he just felt it was home for him, and he was able to adapt to that environment very quickly. And we need to do that with more foreign players that we bring in, more foreign youth players.
Do you actually think the location? Sorry, I don't get a bit of feedback here. Also, apologies if you keep any notifications going off. I have tried to mute them, but it still is coming through.
It's all right, mate.
Yeah, do you think the location of the club actually has any effect? It's been mentioned in the past or suggested that like a lot of players won't move to the northeast. Do you think that's the case?
I'd say it has contributed a lot. I remember when Roy Keane was manager, he was, I think, having a go at some of his transfer targets' wives, because they didn't want to go shopping in the northeast. They'd rather gone shopping in the likes of like London, Birmingham, or Manchester. But I think it all depends on the system we have in place. I think as long as a youngster comes through, is brought up, and they're guaranteed to enjoy their football as well as life off the pitch, but football being the more important, then you've got any chance as any other club, even in clubs with the clubs in London as well. It's all about just how you do it and giving faith into these players that they can really make a difference long term. That's how I still stand by why Josh Madger left. I know the contract situation was absolutely disgraceful, how we handled it, but at the same time, when he did the interviews for Sunderland Till I Die, you just got the impression that he felt that the club never really appreciated him enough being there. I had that impression with some fans as well. I know, because he was a goal scorer. If we kept him that season, we would have gone up. Simple as that. And I just feel some fans at times questioned his work rate, but I think he was just like dwelling too much from the Chris Coleman days at the club, where I remember me and my dad were there when he came on and scored that winning goal against Fulham just before Christmas. And I think fans were thinking that this is going to be the player that's going to get us out the mire this season. But then in January, he brings in someone with no quality in terms of finishing. Well, having said that, he's for some reason scored goals for Middlesbrough, and that was Ashley Fletcher. Got him on loan from West Ham, and we stuck him up front on his own, more or less, for most games in the second half of that campaign, leaving Madger on the bench. And I think when you do that, a player's attitude is always going to go downhill. It doesn't. People can say, "Oh, well, when you're in a workplace, you've got to show the best commitment you can, otherwise you'll be out the door." But at the same, it's all about keeping these young players happy, but also really telling them that one day you will have the potential to make a difference in the first team, but at the same time you can do that anytime. Like, you could, if you work hard, it will come quicker than you expect.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think? Why? What's the main reason Sunderland's ended up in League One? I mean, obviously there's a few reasons. Obviously, poor football, but what can you pinpoint it down to being?
I think, was it Ellis Short, was massively to blame in the Premier League with the unnecessary expenditure which was discovered in Sunderland till I die. Um, I think his appointments of not being great. I think he just had this acceptance of not really looking to take the club to that next level, and just more or less accept that the side was going to be in relegation battles every year. It doesn't matter how much money he spent as long as we get over the finishing line, which was staying up. But we've been in the Premier League, I think, 10 years by that point, and you've got to be looking further than that. And I know we brought Sam, when we brought Sam Allardyce in, we had a plan in place. Everything, all the boxes were ticked, and then the England job came along, which you're not going to turn down the national team, are you? He brought David Moyes in, and I think David Moyes, you got the impression ever since he came in, he was just waiting for that paycheck until he got the sack, to be honest, because he knew that Ellis Short would pay him a hefty money even if he lost his job. So David Moyes, like, the love for the club wasn't quite there. I think he was just turning up to do a job, but not to the best of his ability, compared to what he's probably doing at West Ham now, which still disgusts me to this day. But yeah, it's poor recruitment, decisions made by Ellis Short. It's a shame because some of the managers we brought in, when we first bring some of the managers we had in the Prem, you would have thought the likes of Martin O'Neill, Gus Poyet, Dick Advocaat, these like are experienced, maybe not Gus Poyet, but Martin O'Neill and Dick Advocaat, these are experienced guys, and you think with a bit of money behind them, they could potentially take the club to that next level. But Ellis Short just wasn't interested at all. And I know people can blame the managers for not bringing in the right players for the money they had, but you do need to have plenty of money in place in order to give out the right contracts to the players you want to bring in, because it's all about keeping them happy.
Yeah, yeah. The next question: worst and best moments as being a Sunderland fan. Obviously, there's probably loads you can choose from for worst moments. Off the top of your head, can you tell us your worst and your sort of favourite moment being a Sunderland fan?
Oh, it's tough. You put me on the spot here, Paul, to be honest. Worst, I would say, being at the Stadium of Light when we got beat 2-1 off Burton Albion to send us down into the third tier. I was there that day. It's a shame because that was when I was at that game. I was in my final year of uni, and there was a lot of good things going on in my life then. So it didn't really, obviously, it did affect me, but off the pitch, I had things to look forward to. I had a fantastic summer, but at the same time, I really felt sorry for people who dedicate their lives to the club that day. It was just a poison atmosphere. It was toxic. But now I think you've just got to accept that we're a club playing in this league, and it's going to take one step at a time until we get out of it. Best memory of being a Sunderland fan, or it's really, really difficult. Very, very difficult. You know what? I'm going to go back to probably my earliest memories of supporting the club, that Roy Keane team that won us promotion and won the league in 06-07. I think my love for the club then was at an all-time high. It was just fantastic. Going to the away games that season were brilliant. Singing Hey Keno was just fantastic. And Roy Keane was that first Sunderland manager that I just adored from top to bottom. And I was a little bit sad when he left. I felt that he could have stayed at least to the end of that season rather than bringing Ricky Sprager in. But yeah, probably my best moment was if I did this video on another day, I'll probably think of another great moment. But the one that comes from the top of my head is winning the league in 2007. Carlos Edwards, Banks of the Weir, top bins against Burnley at home on that Friday night. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I'll never forget that. I've seen people post that goal on Twitter a few times, and I just have to watch it like 10. I can't just watch it once. I've got to watch it 10 times in a row.
Yeah, it's one of the best goals ever.
Yeah, totally agree. Who would you see as your current favourite Sunderland player? And I think I know the answer to your all-time Sunderland favourite player, because I think you've mentioned it before on SAFC Fan TV. But if you could let us know your all-time, in any order, your all-time favourite Sunderland player and your current favourite Sunderland player.
Oh, my current favourite Sunderland player, I'm gonna go for, because of the quality he can offer at the back, I'd say Bailey Wright. I think he's too good for this league. Fantastic centre half, and I'm just so grateful that we've got him this season as well, because I was expecting he would go back to Bristol City after his loan spell, and if we keep him fit, and I would say keep this free at the back system with Tom Flanagan and Jordan Willis playing alongside him, I think we have a very good chance of stopping the goals going in order for us to go up this season. So Bailey Wright is my current favourite Sunderland player. And my all-time favourite Sunderland player, it's very, very hard. Very, very hard. I'm trying to think. Did I mention it before?
I can't remember if you certainly said this was your favourite player, but I know you definitely don't like this player. So, yeah, I could be wrong.
Yeah, I could be wrong as well. The first one comes to the top of my head. I'm going to go for... it's so hard. I've probably got it wrong. But
you can't get it wrong because it's your favourite player. I mean, you might, like I say, you might not have said that. I might have sort of misread it. But...
It changes every week, Paul. It changes every week. Right now, I would say Stefan Sessegnon.
That's who I thought it would be.
Genius. The man was just an absolute magician on the ball. Left, right. There was even a stage on DeMartin O'Neill where he was playing up front in games. Just the overall quality he could provide in the team was just absolutely brilliant. And I think we got him from PSG, £6 million. I think it was January 2011. Steve Bruce brought him in, and to be honest, bargain at the time for the money we paid for him and what the quality he could provide. Absolutely sensational. Just he would always, I would say, every 2 to 3 weeks end up on Soccer AM Showboat on a Saturday morning, because he would just excite the crowd every time. Always trying to nutmeg players. I remember this brilliant goal he scored, I think against Swansea City, where he did this fantastic 1-2 with James McLean and just bent it into the top corner. I don't think we've had a player with techers like him in a very, very long time, and it's going to be a long time until we get to attracting players like that.
Yeah, totally. One of my favourite players. Absolutely loved him. Anyway, moving on. Is there any other teams or any other sports that you have a soft spot for?
I do like my boxing. I've gotten into boxing a lot over the last few years. Obviously, Anthony Joshua, he trained at a boxing club not far from where I live in North London. So I take a bit of pride from that. Every time I'm watching a fight of his, I am cheering him on, because he is someone local. I want him to do the best he can. I appreciate all sports, really, to be honest. I like my cricket a lot. Been watching a lot of cricket, particularly over the summer, every time it's the Ashes, and also that World Cup winning moment from 2019, Jofra Archer, superb to see. I remember watching it with mates that day. We have so much pride in how many quality cricket players we have in this country now. Formula One, also Lewis Hamilton, the man, one of the greatest British sportsmen of all time. I do like when the Olympics is on. I do like watching that as well. I remember in London 2012, we just took pure pride that the Olympics was in our city. Went down to a few events, and I just appreciate. I just love sport in general. I just absolutely love it. I just appreciate people's talent in sport, covering sport, and just people talking about sport in general. It's just fascinating.
Yeah, totally. For me, Formula One, absolutely, it's my biggest sport. It's my number one thing. I mean, even football, it's only really Sunderland I'm interested in. If somebody says, who do you think we should sign, or who's the best player in the Premiership, I really don't have a clue. I simply follow Sunderland. That's it.
Also, rugby as well. Big shout out to our boys in the Six Nations at the moment. Hope we come out on top.
Yeah, definitely. So if I was to give you £1,000 now, Jacob, and I went, right, I want you to go to the bookies, put a bet on of when Sunderland will be back in the Premiership. What season or how many seasons would it take to do that?
I'm gonna say, I think it will be 5 to 6 years. I think that's going to be the maximum right now. I know people would argue against that and think it will be even longer, but yeah, if I was to do it tonight, I'd say 5 to 6 years.
Fair enough. Right, we've got two games coming up. We've got Gillingham away and Ipswich at home. How do you think they're going to go? And would you give us a prediction on each one, please, as well?
Gillingham away on Saturday. Not an easy place to go. They make it very hard down at Priestfield. I went there twice last season, one in the FA Cup replay and the other in the league. The away trip in the league is actually, I think, my most viewed video on SAFC Fan TV. It was 6,000 views. That video's got just me interviewing very angry fans that day who actually wanted Parkinson gone. They were chanting for Kevin Phillips to come in, but I totally understood their frustration. Prediction on Saturday, I'm going to go for, I think, a 2-1 Sunderland win. And for the Ipswich game, which I think is going to be very, very tough, I'm going to say 2-1 as well. I like it with 2-1. But I think against Ipswich, we will come from a goal down to do it.
Yeah. I like that you're predicting wins on both occasions. I can never force myself to predict even a draw most of the time. So yeah,
my head says draw for Saturday. My heart says a 2-1 win.
Yeah, that's fair enough, mate. But we do need to start getting these 3 points. So I think looking at the table before we came on here, we've got a game in hand, obviously, but we're sitting 7th. Are you happy with that, or?
Not really happy, to be honest. But you have to consider that I think the 6 teams above us, correct me if I'm wrong, have played a game more than what we have. So if we played that game in hand, we would have been in the top 6. But you can't look at it that way now. I think you just have to make sure that the team is performing the best they can in the games that they have coming up rather than the games that they've got in the future. So disappointing, but I think give it, I don't know, the next couple of games we'll be in a better position than we are now. So fingers crossed, keep the faith.
Yeah, definitely. I've corrected myself there. Charlton's actually above us with 8 points as well. They've won their last 4 games, so they're on a good run of form since we've played them. Obviously, when they drew. Yeah, it's going to be tough all league, I think, this season. But we'll see what happens. That's all we can do, isn't it? I've got one more question I ask everybody. It's to do with a little league table that I do. Out of every single player or manager in any league, who would you say, I use the word hate, but who would you say you dislike the most?
Sorry, say that again?
Yeah, basically what it is, I've got a league table and I ask each guest who they hate the most, player or manager in any league. So we've got 4 answers so far. Yours is going to be the 5th one. And I'm just doing a little league table. And at the end of all these episodes, maybe at the end of the season, we'll show the league table of who is the most hated player or manager from the Sunderland fans.
It's between 2. So I'd say either David Moyes or Joey Barton, but purely because of everything the unnecessary things that he said about our club, just because he still goes back to this rivalry, which even in the games that he played in didn't affect the team much anyway. He's a liar. I remember one comment he made on TalkSport saying every time that he's played against, we've played against him, we've never beaten the teams that he's played in. That's an absolute lie, mate, because you came on as a substitute in October 2008 in a 2-1 defeat. which we stuffed your team 2-1 that day in every department, and that's Joey Barton.
Yeah. Well, that's got him top of the league anyway. He's got 4. And Moyes, as you said, he's got 1 vote. So, yeah, this looks like Joey Barton's going to win the league potentially, but we'll see how that goes. That's it, basically. I want to say a big thank you for coming on. Is there anything else you want to say about maybe supporting any other clubs down in South? Is it something you wanted to clear up, because it keeps getting brought up, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does my head in. I tell you, I don't even know where this Arsenal joke started, to be honest. Maybe it's because I interviewed Lee Judges from AFTV. But listen, right, so growing up in North London, my parents are both big Sunderland fans. My dad's from County Durham. My mum grew up about a 10-minute walk from Roker Park, and they moved to London in 1993. I was born in 1996, and growing up for the first 10, 11 years of my life, I didn't really, obviously I like football, I loved watching it, but I didn't really understand that passion of supporting one team and sticking to it. The local team was Arsenal. I actually grew up about a 20-minute walk from Highbury Stadium, the old ground where they used to play. I just saw people walking around in an Arsenal kit as just a bit of fashion, to be honest. I never really saw like that love for the although it was in an era where they had a fantastic invincible team. I just wasn't really feeling it, and I think I decided eventually to go back to my family roots. I think what really done it for me was, I remember for my christening, I received a present from my auntie, which was I don't know if you remember when the Stadium of Light was built, they had an option where you could get people's names on the bricks. Yeah, and mine is on the top row, panel 17. And when I realised that was done, I thought, this is the club for me. I'm going to stick with this for life. It doesn't matter what I decide to do, whether times are good, whether they're dark. That brick will always be there with my name on top. And I think from that moment, I just knew that this was the club for me. I had to make a lot of sacrifices from doing that. I was absolutely taking the piss out of, right, sorry for swearing. Listen, growing up where I live, it's Arsenal and Tottenham territory. So you do have to take a bit of flack at times. I remember my dad going to the local back in the days. He said his Arsenal mates just used to absolutely rinse him. But he was prepared for that. Walking around North London with my Sunderland top on, I feel pride. I feel I'm showing a lot of passion from doing that. I remember the area where we used to live, people just stare the hell out of me, just wearing Sunderland tops everywhere I went. But I took pride in doing that. I just loved it. I mean, we've made a lot of friends along the way from doing that. It's just walking around the area where we used to live. It's like, all right, how did you do at the weekend? Another defeat for you? Oh, it's the Sunderland fans, the only 2 Sunderland fans that we know living in North London. But yeah, a fantastic moment for me. I remember I was out for a run in a Sunderland kit. This was 2 weeks ago, and there was a man approaching, and as I was running towards him, like, he stopped and was like trying to look at the badge, what I had on the shirt, and he just like pointed like this when I was running past him. Sunderland. I was like, yep. How are the lads, mate? Sunderland till I die. But yeah, I wouldn't swap it for the world. I'm going to support this club to my final breath. I love it to pieces. Runs through my family. Yeah, I just take a lot of passion and pride from supporting this club. I have no regrets at all from the life I've led supporting this team.
Good, yeah, because you could have definitely had a much easier life supporting any other team, probably. But yeah, I'm glad you picked Sunderland as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't swap it for the world, mate.
Yeah, excellent. Well, I know you've got an episode of SAFC Fan TV to go and do very soon as well. So good luck with that. I'll let you go. I want to say a big thank you again for coming on the show. Everybody else for watching, thank you very much for watching. Next week we've got, who did I say we've got? Gillingham, isn't it? Gillingham. So we'll have a fans react out for that. I'm going to be in Norfolk for a few days, but I'll still get the videos out. Thanks again for watching. You guys take care, and for now, we'll see you later.